John Finnegan has been the ideal husband, father, and physician ever since he joined The Bold and the Beautiful. In order to satisfy his wife Steffi Forrester, Finn went above and fulfilled all of her requests. Is this the end of it? Shin's marriage is beginning to show signs of strain, and in the coming weeks B&B viewers will likely see a different side of the Good Doctor. Below are spoilers for what will happen next on Bold and Beautiful. Luna's death strikes the positive Doctor hard. When Dr. Finn first found out that his daughter Luna Nozawa was dead and gone after the fatal shooting, he appeared unconcerned. Since everyone is rushing to save Liam Spencer, Luna's death has been put on hold. The shock will eventually subside as the dust settles. According to B&B spoilers, John Finnegan will finally have to confront the devastating reality of his biological daughter/cousin's passing. The fact that Luna is no longer a threat to Queen Steffi and her family will make her very happy. The couple will become apart as a result of her heartless response to Finn losing his daughter. To make matters worse, Finn's wife will leave town to be with her dying ex-husband when he needs her the most. The kind and devoted husband Steffi left behind might no longer exist when she gets back. Since they got married, Finn has forgotten and forgiven many of Steffi's reservations. It may be argued that instead of blaming her husband for being the sperm donor for Aunt Poppy's child 2 decades ago, Steffi should now give him some leeway. Finn leaves Steffi. According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, instead of welcoming Steffi Forrester home, Finn might present her with divorce papers. Does Finn deserve better in your opinion? Is it unjust of Steffi to hold him accountable for Luna's transgressions? According to spoilers for the CBS soap opera The Bold and the Beautiful, Liam Spencer cheated death twice this week. Is Dr. Grace Buckingham defrauding the Spencer clan? Or is Bill Spencer's kid the luckiest man alive? Read on to find out. Here are the next events on B&B. Spoilers are in store. Liam has experimental surgery. Finn and his crew hurried Liam Spencer to the operating room and extracted the bullet after he survived Luna Nozawa's shooting. Bill Spencer, Liam's father, found out that his son had been concealing his cancer diagnosis from him while he was in the hospital recuperating from his gunshot wound. $1 Bill quickly came up with a plan to save his son by making a deal with Dr. Grace Buckingham, since he enjoys playing God and using money to solve his problems. Liam was sent to another location after Grace and Bill checked him out of the hospital, where she performed experimental surgery to remove his incurable brain tumor. Bill Spencer sent her $1 million as soon as the procedure was over. Not bad for a workday. Conned by Bill Spencer? Brave and the Bill Spencer might have been duped, according to spoilers for Beautiful. It's odd that Grace Buckingham, a medical expert, let Liam go an hour after 2 major procedures. She clarified that Liam will receive treatment from a nurse at the Spencer mansion, but everything about it seemed quite dubious. Not to mention all the sleazy activities Grace's husband engaged in, such as stealing and selling infants using his medical qualifications. What if Liam Spencer's father spends $1 million on a fictitious surgery, and he wakes up with nothing changed? Do you believe Grace defrauded Liam and Bill Spencer? According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, many fans think it's time for Don Diamont to go on and pursue other opportunities. Does Don Diamont need to leave? The reason for this is that people believe he is being treated like a supporting actor on a show that he ought to be the star of. Both Steffi Forrester and her father, Rich Forrester, criticized Bill for granting Luna a pardon, which led to her shooting his son Liam Spencer, as many B&B fans are aware. When Bill wanted to visit his son, they were so angry with him that they attempted to have him discharged from the hospital. Of course, there was a lot to say about the issue on the internet. Don Diamont has always been Brad Carlton, the fantastic role created for him by master writer and storyteller Bill Bell. Some people even noted the fact that this actor was immediately cast in the terrible part of Dollar Bill Spencer, which never suited Don, has been an insult to his skills. After Diamont lost his job due to Y&R, Bradley Bell hired him right away. However, Bradley Bell didn't develop a compelling character to highlight Diamant's range as an actor. What will happen to Bill Spencer next? I agree. Don/Bill, you need to go rogue. These jerks have no business telling you about your son, commented another show critic. As if they are so much superior. Ridge and Stephanie must both plummet from a helicopter. I hope she has to become inebriated. Since he is the next of kin, he ought to run them all out of the hospital. He must use his authority. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful. Will Don Diamant leave? Brad Bell treats him like crap. He has been disgusting to this talented actor. Get some primetime Don, was another comment. It's very unfortunate that Ridge, Steffi, and Taylor have reduced Bill's role on the show to lecturing. Dr. John Finnegan was the model of composure under duress for as long as anyone could remember. Finn had always maintained his composure, whether he was negotiating life-or-death circumstances in the hospital or negotiating the turbulent roller coaster that was his marriage to Steffi Forrester. He had gained the respect of even the most doubtful members of the Forrester clan and the admiration of his colleagues for his patience, calm, and unflinching loyalty. But there is a breaking point for every individual. And for Finn, the long-awaited moment had finally come. Like a fault line gradually grinding its way toward explosion, the strain had been building beneath the surface for months, perhaps even years. Behind his gaze, something darker had started to simmer, but Finn's professional, collected face remained on the exterior. Before the dam bursts, a guy can only withstand so much deception, betrayal, and emotional turmoil. It started out innocently enough. In part to escape the chaos at home, Finn had dedicated the past few weeks to his work at the hospital. Steffi had been becoming increasingly reticent and aloof. He had made an effort to speak with her and learn about her thoughts. However, every talk ended in avoidance, deflection, or worse, gaslighting. She would claim that he was being overly sensitive, that she was simply exhausted, or that he was only dreaming. However, Finn was acquainted with Steffi. He was aware of the distinction between evasion and weariness. Then there was the Liam Spencer issue. He and Steffi had never been on good terms because of Liam. Because of their daughter Kelly, Finn had tried his best to put up with Liam and Steffi co-parenting, but eventually that tolerance wore thin. Every time Steffi was in danger, Liam appeared at the most inconvenient times, seemingly ready to intervene like a white knight. The fact that Liam had vacillated between Hope and Steffi for years, leaving emotional devastation in his wake, was irrelevant. The fact that Steffi still appeared vulnerable to Liam's words, touches, and hints was what counted. Finn now had a reason to think that they had had a relationship. Something beyond a cordial co-parenting exchange. The messages sent late at night. The covert phone conversations. The fact that after allegedly spending time with Kelly and Liam, Steffi would come home agitated and evasive. Too long had Finn allowed her to be taken for granted. And he was finished now. One of those infrequent evenings when he, Steffi, and the children were meant to have a family supper was the last straw. However, Steffi got a text as he was consuming the last of the pasta. When her phone rang on the counter, Finn looked at the screen without intending to pry. Liam was the one. We must speak. Tonight. Finn's spine tingled at the words. He saw Steffi grab the phone, a scarcely disguised terror taking hold of her face. She gave a flimsy justification, saying she was heading to Liam's apartment to see how Kelly was doing, but it didn't add up. She was not stopped by Finn. He didn't ask her any questions. He just watched her leave. And something inside him jerked when the door shut behind her. Finn had been the one making concessions for years. He had come to terms with the fact that being with Steffi meant navigating her complex background, unresolved emotions, and complex family dynamics. He had accepted it because he truly, unconditionally, and profoundly loved her. But now that he was by himself in the kitchen with a partially assembled dinner table before him, he saw that love was insufficient on its own. He went to their bedroom, leaving the dinner unfinished, and gazed at the vacant bed they used to share with intimacy and tenderness. It all felt hollow now. A shadow of its former self. His mouth tightened as he resisted the strong impulse to shout. However, no. He refused to yell. Not quite yet. Finn pushed himself into his work at the hospital the following day with fresh vigor, but it was obvious that something was wrong. He was harsh in talks and blunt with nurses. Even his patients appeared to perceive the chilly edge beneath his grin, even though they typically found him comforting and kind. He merely replied, "Fine," in a clipped tone that advised Bridget Forrester, a friend and trusted co-worker, not to pry when she pulled him aside to ask how he was feeling. He was looking over patient charts later that afternoon when he noticed Liam's name flashing on his phone. It was a missed call, not a message. Finn put the smartphone down with a shaking hand. It wouldn't be good, whatever Liam wanted. And indeed, Steffi was waiting for him that night when he got home, sitting on the edge of the couch like a pupil anticipating a punishment. The altercation erupted after they had barely exchanged greetings. Finn sought answers because he was sick of being passive. "Is there something going on with Liam?" he questioned her bluntly. After widening in surprise, her eyes rapidly narrowed in defensive rage. "How are you even allowed to ask me that?" She lost her temper. "You think I'd be unfaithful to you?" Finn said, his voice trembling with repressed anger. "I don't want to think that. But you're not denying me the opportunity to do so." The dispute swiftly got out of hand. Half-truths, betrayals, and years of suppressed annoyance all poured out like poison. Steffi was accused by Finn of never letting go of Liam completely. Steffi said Finn was domineering and insecure. He recalled to her how frequently he had been expected to understand when Liam stepped into their lives and how frequently he had taken a backseat to him. She reminded him that Liam will always be a part of Kelly's life because he was her father. However, there's a distinction between co-parenting and holding on to the past, Finn stated, raising his voice. "And you went too far." Although Steffi didn't explicitly reject anything, her silence was devastating. Finn stood there with his heart exploding in real time and his chest heaving. The lady he had imagined spending his old age with, the one with whom he had created a future, was now a stranger. Then came the part that really made him lose it. Finn discovered from a mutual acquaintance that Sheila Carter, his insane, cunning biological mother, had attempted to get in touch with him once more, as if the emotional betrayal wasn't enough. Even worse, Steffi had been aware of it but had concealed it from him. Her justification for this was weak when he questioned her about it. "I wanted to avoid upsetting you. I believed that dealing with it alone would be preferable." "You felt that lying to me about Sheila would be preferable?" The veins in Finn's neck bulged as he yelled. "She attempted to murder you. She attempted to murder me. And you're not disclosing her attempts to get in touch?" Finn's voice roared through the home like a hurricane for the first time. In an instant, all the emotional control he had cultivated over the years was lost. The rawness in his voice and the rage in his eyes were unnerving, even though he wasn't violent or harsh. This man was undone by 1,000 wounds he had silently suffered for far too long, not by a single betrayal. With his fists clenched and his chest rising and falling with the intensity of his breath, he paced the living room. Too late, Steffi realized the extent of the devastation and sat in startled silence. "I have stood up for this family," Finn stated in a raspy voice. "I have forgiven you, protected you, and even stood up for you in front of my own conscience. For what purpose? To be misled, ignored, and seen as a stand-in till Liam makes up his mind?" Bitter and definitive, the words lingered in the air. He muttered, "I can't do this anymore." Finn didn't sleep in their bed that night. He went after packing a tiny bag. No big exit. No goodbye. Nothing but quiet. Because silence speaks louder than words sometimes. Finn stayed away throughout the next few days. He took a break from work, stayed with a buddy, and did something he hadn't done in a while. He concentrated on himself. He thought, digested, and attempted to sort out his feelings from the turmoil of the previous few years. He then started to rebuild gradually. For Finn and Steffi, it wasn't the end. Not always. It was a reckoning nevertheless. A time when the quiet, devoted doctor finally gave up the hope that all might be fixed by love alone. It had now dawned on the guy who had dedicated his life to healing others that he needed to heal himself. And the instant he allowed himself to feel his anguish instead of suppressing it, that healing started.